consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize.
Welcome, loves, to this episode where you're going to learn how to build your business with speaking. I am so excited. This is for you if you're currently a speaker or if you're desiring to speak and get your message out there in a bigger, more amplified way. Today I have, if you've been following me for a while, Corey Poirier is not going to be a stranger to you. And if you're new to me, welcome. This is my very good friend, Corey Poirier. He and I are like complete co-creators and collaborators. Corey's one of my favorite humans. He's a good friend of mine and one of my own mentors when it comes to speaking and podcasting and now on this TV show. So you guys are going to get the best of the best. So let me formally introduce you to Corey. And actually, before I do, I'm going to just share a little bit of the themes that we're going to cover so that you're going to get even more soulgasmically excited. So today we're going to jam on how to land paid speaking gigs regularly, how to impact thousands from stages, and how to land virtually paid speaking engagements as well. I will also be jamming about the difference between paid speaking gigs and pay to play on stage and what exactly that means. And that's how I built my business, my first year of my self-love coaching business. That's what I started out as, to six figures part-time was through speaking. So stay tuned for that. So let's introduce Corey. Corey is a multi-time TEDx top-rated speaker and coach. He is also the host of the top-rated Let's Do Influencing radio show, founder of the growing Blue Talks brand Business Life Universe, which I'm very involved in, and has been featured in multiple television specials. He's also a Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Apple Books, and Kobo best-selling author, award-winning author, and the co-author of the Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestseller, Quitless. He's a columnist with Entrepreneur and Forbes magazine. Like, this guy plays big, you guys. And he has been featured in and on various mediums and is one of the few leaders featured twice on the popular Entrepreneur and On Fire show. He has also interviewed over 6,500 of the world's top leaders, and he has spoken on site at Harvard. That's where I spoke at Harvard, was for Blue Talks, and more recently to Microsoft team leaders and at Kyle Whistle's Inner Circle Retreat, which has featured everyone from Brian Tracy to Mark Victor Hansen to Phil Collen, who, if you know who that is, part of Leppard, the brand. So welcome, Corey. You have given me so many incredible opportunities to speak alongside big names like Les Brown, Jack Canfield. It's been amazing to continue to be part of, have you be part of my journey and continue seeing you grow more and more in this Blue Talks. It's so exciting to be seeing it. I was there with you when it originated. Has it been 2 years now?
It's been over 2 years in terms of us starting it, meaning we started before we launched. And so that's a unique way to run a business. But we did some live events before we officially said, okay, Blue Talks is an actual thing. And so it's kind of like behind the scenes, building up the content we needed to officially launch. So if you go back to whenever we did those first talks, the first one, for example, in Alberta, that was 2 years and a few months. So it is a little over 2 years. But in terms of when we officially pulled the trigger and said we're launching, it's about a year and 3 or 4 months. So it still feels like a baby.
It's so amazing. And I'm so excited to be seeing you very soon, because as we're recording this live right now, February 17th, 2022, by the way, it's full moon in Leo. Yes. We get to, I'm speaking at Blue Talks Toronto, March 4th. So I'm really excited to be seeing you. And then we'll see each other in Edmonton the week after. So many amazing things. The community is incredible. Can you share a little bit about, for those who don't know what Blue Talks is, and how was it birthed? Let me just put it this way, you guys. Before Corey gets there, Blue Talks, think of it like TEDx talk with a foundation of spirituality, because in TEDx, you aren't able to speak so much about spirituality. So I'm going to give the mic over to Corey so he can share a little bit more about the details.
Well, thank you, Roz. And I've often said, too, it's like Chicken Soup for the Soul meets TEDx, because Chicken Soup for the Soul is a little more spiritual. And so I've often, I've said kind of like it's if the two of them got together and had a baby, what we've created is the baby. And so I think that helps with the visual. How it started and why it came together. So how it started, even the early beginnings, I remember the first day. I remember the day I came up with the acronym and the day I decided I was going to do it. And it was pretty much the same day. I was sitting with a gentleman named Lang, who's a part of my mastermind group that we meet with once a week. And the mastermind group's been going like 7 years. And Lang came to an event that we were running. We ran just a live speakers boot camp, similar to the one that you spoke at in Edmonton for us. And Lang came to that one, and we went out for a bite to eat afterward. And I said, here's what I'm thinking of doing. And basically it became like a brainstorm back and forth. And I said, I want it to be like where TEDx is the color red. I do want it to have some sort of color that's significant to it. And then I said, well, I'd like it to be 3 letters, but how do you do that? And then I was thinking, well, why can't you just name it a color? But then I was like, how many colors have 3 letters? So blue is the only one where you could subtract a letter and the word still sounds like it's still the same, still pronounced the same. And then also I could come up with an acronym that summarized what I wanted. And what I wanted was to have the practical side of TEDx, but then also the spiritual side. So the business and life became the practical, business messages, life stories. And then the universe to me is the spiritual side. Mm-hmm. And so just to tell people, that's how it started. It was more just a brainstorm around how can we create something that layers that stuff. But in terms of what created it, meaning what started that conversation, because it wasn't like I was sitting there with Lang and said, I want to start my own brand. I was already busy enough. I wasn't like I was saying, I want to start a brand. What do you think about this? It was actually, and this has been a common pattern in my life, it was triggered by students of mine and clients of mine asking for something that I didn't think existed. So people were saying to me, I wish you had a done for you service where you do everything and I just arrive. Like I just show up and speak, or I just, if it's a book, I just send my chapter and you do all the rest. You edit it, you format it. I don't have to learn how to do anything with the book business. You take care of that. And I had that group of students. And then I had the group of students that you summarized a minute ago saying, I love the TEDx format and style. Like I love the idea of that branded stage, but I want to just release my inner woo. Yes. And it doesn't exist. And so I was really going inward to say, who can I refer them to? Because I didn't have time to create something new. And honestly, Roz, I couldn't find it. It didn't exist anywhere to my knowledge and to what I could see. Not in the way I wanted to do it, which was like a traveling event. Like there's events like Goalcast and Mind Valley where they'll go one place a year, but there wasn't really like where TEDx does, which has multiple cities across the country or North America or the globe. And so I didn't see it in that way. So I said, I went inward to the Zig Ziglar thing I heard years ago, where he said, if I have a solution that somebody needs and they have a problem that they need a solution for, I have a moral obligation to create that solution. And so I looked at it like I had clients who had a problem and I had a moral obligation to create that which I felt didn't exist. And so that really was the driver. That was the catalyst of Blue Talks. And then that conversation with Lang was more of the logistics. In other words, that push, I decided maybe 2 months before that we were going to do this. And yet I still hadn't decided what the name would be or anything. In fact, I think when I originally booked the stages where people would speak, I don't even think it was called Blue Talks then. I still have that post, so I could go back and look and see if I mentioned it as Blue Talks, but I don't think it was. I think it was like a couple of months after I decided we were doing the events that I actually came up with the idea of what the name would be.
Amazing.
And Lang, I'll finish that off. Lang did something really powerful. He did the 5 whys, if you've ever heard of that, where he basically said, why do you want to do this? And I gave him an answer, and he said, yeah, but why? And we just did that. And so he was kind of the sounding board to pull the stuff out of me, basically. So that gives you a really bird's eye view of the backside of how Blue Talk started.
Well, and I feel like this is really helpful for people out there who are possibly perfectionists, or you just don't know what you don't know, and you're just starting out your business, or you're really wanting to scale it, that you don't have to do things perfectly. You don't have to have everything in place before you start and putting yourself out there and putting your dream and vision out there. Like I'm exactly the same way, and I encourage my clients to do that. Like recently, actually today, I was talking to some of my clients in my Soul Session Business Academy, and I said, hey, it's time to put out your freebies. Let's create this. And one person's still waiting to get certified in her specialization. And I said, that's totally okay. You can still put out a freebie, right? And there's a whole systems and process with that, but like, let's put yourself out there. Clients aren't going to usually come right away anyway. Like, this is about building our tribe, putting our dream out there, letting it just like marinate. So I love that, Corey. Now, I know we have a limited time with you today. So I'd love to get straight to the point about where, like, paid speaking gigs. Tell us, because you're the king of that. And when I say paid speaking gigs, Corey is very successful at this. He's supported his students be very successful at this. You are like a 10K plus paid speaking speaker. So tell us, how does this work? Where do we start?
I mean, it's such a great question, because this is something I share often these days, is that I've been a paid professional speaker for over 20 years. And the part that I share often is the fact that I add in the paid part. Reason I do is because when I first started, I thought everybody that was speaking was getting paid. In fact, I thought, why would they speak? Why would they speak if they weren't? Unless there was, like, they were trying to get a message out, or they were trying to help a nonprofit, or they're using it to grow their business. But I thought otherwise, if you're doing this as a business, why would you want to get paid? And so I thought everybody was. What happened then is somebody came to me one day and said, how are you getting paid to speak so often? And I started sharing it with him. And then another person came. And then another person came. And it got to a point where I was getting that question probably daily at least, and some days hourly. And there's a point, Rosalyn, where you figure, I'm answering this question way too often. So maybe, just maybe, I have to find a way to provide the solution to many rather than one.
Like you did with Blue Talks.
Exactly. And that, again, that was a common theme, right? People were asking for this. I figured I needed to create it for them.
That's right.
Yeah. And so that's that's how I got started. And as far as the getting paid to speak part, I was doing it, like I say, for years. And after enough people asked me, I finally started teaching it. But as far as how you actually start that process and that journey, there's so much to this, because on one part of this is self-worth. So I find the challenge most people run into is they're like, who would pay to hear me speak? Why would anybody want to hear my message? What do I have to give to the world that somebody would pay for that? And I talked to somebody the other day who I really believe has it. I'll call it it as a speaker. And he asked me how much he should be charging. And I started going through, here's what you could start at. And I basically started talking about $1,000 at the beginning. And he almost fell off his chair, literally. Like, I was watching him, he almost fell off his chair. Like, I could charge $1,000 to hear somebody hear me speak. Why would they pay that? And this is a guy that, watching his videos, he would be very reminiscent of Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, who's one of the best motivational speakers of all time. And this guy has that. And Eric Thomas charges $150,000 a talk. And this guy's saying, nobody pay $1,000 to hear me talk. So I think, Rosalyn, even though we often don't talk about that part, I think it all starts really with personal value and self-esteem.
1,000%. And that's my gem. So that totally aligns. It does. It starts everything, no matter what we are doing, quote unquote. It really starts with our own worthiness, owning ourselves and the belief in ourselves and the value of who we are. And then having that courage to take action, because I would say that would be the next thing, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, honestly, it's like I've talked about this often with the law of attraction. One of the things that was missing when the law of attraction was really big through The Secret was the law of action. And I think there's even more that in the holistic and health and healing world is that we believe it, we can manifest anything, but then if we don't take action on it, then at the end of the day, some result, but we probably don't get the result we would have gotten if we took action. And I think, like I
Yeah.
said, sometimes people feel like if I'm manifesting, I can't take action because that goes against the passiveness of manifesting. And I actually think the opposite. I think the two of
Oh,
them work
yeah.
really well together. So,
Uh-huh.
so yeah, to answer your question, you're right. Nothing starts until you take action. And when I started as a speaker, I'll be honest with you, I didn't think I was going to have to take as much action. I thought I was building it; they were just going to show up. And guess what? The
Mm.
speaking world's a little tougher than people think. Like I thought, you hear that build it and they will come. I built it, and then I parked there and waited, and then I had my tea break and coffee break, and then I sat there, with my hands, like my hands, they're twisting my thumbs, going, "Where are they at? How come they're not coming?" Now, obviously, I'm using this as a metaphor, but nobody came. I built it, nobody came. And so then I realized, okay, if I'm really serious about this, I love the speaking part, but if I'm really serious about this, I got to understand the business side of it too.
Yeah.
Because again, nobody's going to show up. It's like that band, now, of course, you can pick, a big band like Aerosmith or Rolling Stones. And of course, they built it and people do come and people will do the work for them so they don't have to promote themselves. But if you're a
Mm.
band starting out in the local club, you're charging $5 at the door and people are scoffing, saying, I wouldn't pay $5 to see a local band. You're going to have to work if you're that local band. And same thing as a speaker. Unless you're a celebrity speaker, you're going to have to do the work. So it all starts with action. And what does that action look like? I'm going to give people a really big hack, shortcut, something I wish people would have told me when I started. But one hack that I talk about often is Rosalyn, you've heard me talk about my evaluation form. But I have an evaluation form that I've over the years crafted and adjusted and changed
Mhm.
up so that it really works effectively. But on that
Mhm.
evaluation form, it has a big question that says, after you've seen me talk, it's a question of who do you know or do you know of others who could bring me in to speak on a similar subject? If so, can we contact you to follow up? And so that one question, now it's psychological the way the form is, it builds you to that question. But by the time you get to that question, that one question is responsible for about 30% of my paid bookings. And so
Wow.
these
Let's
ones,
write that down. Mm-hmm.
well, and it's a build that they will come case because even though I said that doesn't really exist, in that case it does. But you have to get them there to see you speak. But when you get them there to see you speak, they basically it's very low pressure for them to write, hey, yeah, I run a Rotary thing. You should come in and speak at our Rotary National Conference. And so they do actually come then, but you got to get them in the room. So here's the second part to that hack that's crucial is you have to pick up the phone or get on an email and message a group that brings in businesses. So let's say a chamber of commerce or a business association, get it on touch with some group, a Rotary even, that brings in, say, 100 different business owners to an event. And you want to convince them to let you speak for no fee. You'll rarely ever hear me use the word free. Speak for no fee. And you get in front of their audience. So they say yes, you get there. You ask for permission to hand out your evaluation forms. And then now you're in front of a room of 100 people that just seen you speak and are hungry for you, and you've given them a form to say, hey, can I chat with you after? And for some people, they'll do it because they're like, I want to talk to the speaker. He was awesome and I want some me time with him. So I'll give him my number and say we're looking. But my point is that you'll probably have out of 100, you might have 35 people that will say either 35 people or at least 35 opportunities, because some might say, hey, I'm involved with 5 different events where we could bring you in. But you'll probably have between 25, let's say, and 35 opportunities from that one event of 100 people that now you can follow up with. Well, let's say you landed 3 of those and they were paid bookings. Now, if you think what happens, Roz, you go to those 3 events, you do the exact same thing, and now you can see where it moves. This is
Absolutely.
the thing. I wish I would have known that when I started.
This is such gold because you just had your 3-day speaker boot camp, and I remember the chat box. It was fire to begin with, but that was a huge takeaway for so many of the attendees of this boot camp was that don't say free, say no fee. Can you share the psychology behind that? Like, why would you language it that way?
Yeah, it is very intentional. And it goes back to what we were talking about your value. So
Yeah.
I feel that you need to go into this as a speaker or a potential speaker. When you approach that group that you're asking them to let you come in and talk, and by the way, you will say that to them too. You won't say free to them. So what the reasoning behind that is because you need to set a value on yourself even before you start charging. So let's say you've set the value and Rosalyn said, okay, let's say you're 6 weeks in or a year in or 2 years in, and you say, I'm $1,000 speaker, meaning every time I speak, somebody should be paying me $1,000. However, that hasn't started yet. So I would charge $1,000 if I have the opportunity, and somebody says, how much do I charge? So when you go to that Chamber of Commerce, you would reach out to them and say, look, I normally charge $1,000, but I'm a huge fan of the Chamber of Commerce's work. I also see the value of getting in front of that audience because I think there's some of them who could use my service. So I'm willing to come in at no fee, even though I normally charge a fee. And all I want in return is to be able to hand out my evaluation forms. And if you like my talk, I would love a testimonial. And so the idea behind the no fee versus free is you're actually telling yourself, I'm not a free speaker. So the more you constantly condition yourself to say no fee, it's just saying, this is one time I'm not charging a fee versus the times when I will in the future. So to me, there's a psychological side.
That's so powerful because not only are you speaking to yourself about it, but you're claiming your place and your position and your authority that way too. Normally I charge this, but I will, do a no fee here in exchange of, because I always talk with my clients around, it's like ROI, return on investment, isn't always, depending on where in your business you are, especially when you're starting out, isn't always going to be the energetic exchange of money. It is going to be the energetic exchange of testimonials, of referrals, of building, building your tribe, building the clients to come in. And that absolutely pays off, which you guys, I will talk more about in the latter half of this show today. But Corey, that's phenomenal. Now, we're all going to make an assumption. This is if you have a talk, right? We have about 5 minutes. We're going to assume this is have a talk. You're a professional speaker. You are confident in speaking. You aren't being paid yet. So I guess my question would be, so when do you start, if you're building your business just the way that you were sharing, going around speaking for no fee, when do you start? At what point do you start charging consistently for speaking?
Well, I love that question. And I will say too, Roz, I feel like, always the case with us, we never have enough time. So I'll put it out there that I'd love to continue this conversation on a future one, whether it's me on here or you coming onto my show, but we should continue this because there's so much.
Always.
Absolutely. And we're only scratching the surface. But to answer your question, there's a two-part answer to that, because if it was, let's say when I first started, the answer will be different than what I'm sharing with people they should do now because of what I've learned since. So this approach I just told you about, where you go to a chamber or some similar organization and ask to get in front of their audience. Well, when those people write on the form, Rosalyn, we'd love to bring you in, you should be charging them. So it's literally the next talk, because those people, you got in front of them, you spoke in front of them, they saw the value enough to write down, you'd be a good fit for our group. They're probably already thinking you charge. So you should start charging then. Now, the big question is, what do you start charging? Of course, it's going to depend on how far along you are as a speaker. I was talking to somebody the other day, and he's been speaking for like 10 years, but he's never charged. So his case, he would be charging more than somebody who's just brand new, of course. But the quick and easy answer is, I like to see speakers as soon as possible get to $1,000 a talk. So they get above that hundreds thing. Because the hundreds thing, when you're in the hundreds, it feels like an honorarium only and not a fee. So I like to see people get above that threshold. So at least 1,000. So if you take the approach I mentioned, and if you have 10 people or 15 or 20 say, reach out, we'd love to hire you, I think you should be, when you're talking to them about that booking, you should be charging a fee. Now, if you don't take this approach, then the other option is that evaluation form I mentioned still comes in handy, because what I tell people with that is that evaluation form, you ask open-ended questions. No rate me 1 out of 10, because that's not valuable. Trust me. Yeah. So what you do is you get people to open-ended questions. Well, you will ask, what's your opinion of today's presentation? And what I do is I say to people is that when you go by the percentages of approval. So when I first started, I had probably a 65% approval rating. What that means is 65% said great or above, like great or awesome talk, some variation of that. By the time I was charging thousands, it was up in the 80-some%. The last year I spoke over 100 times in a year. It was at 95% average for the whole year. So what that means is 9.5 out of every 10 people are saying, love this talk, one of the best I've ever heard. But when I started, it was like 6.5 out of 10. So what I'm saying, Roz, is when you're starting, maybe you're a $1,000 speaker, maybe you decide that's where you're going to start. But as you start going up 10 and 15%, or approval ratings, and people are saying this is the best talk I've seen in my life, then you should be increased at that point up to at least $3,000 or $4,000. If people, and I'm not talking like one person says it. I'm talking if this is happening every talk, every event.
Majority, yeah,
it's the majority, and it's always happening. That's the point you should be at. The point where you're a speaker, where people say this is a real deal price. Like this person's charging $4,000. We're having to take from our budget to pay this speaker, and then from there it goes to another thing, which I do with a plateau is. Now you've written for Entrepreneur. Now you've written for Forbes. Now you have a Wall Street Journal USA Today best-selling book. Now you are a TEDx speaker. Every time you have one of those magical achievement moments, now you've spoken at Harvard. Now you shared the bill with Les Brown or Jack Canfield. Every one of those is a time where you can increase your fee. So is that a fair answer to the question? Start at 1,000. I feel if you're speaking enough that you are delivering a high value, and then from there it's approval rating and achievements is what's going to keep you going up to the next level.
Yes, that is amazing, Corey. I love this because I don't think I've ever heard you break it down like this. So this is gold, and I feel like this is really different. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom. I know there's definitely never enough time. How can people get connected with you if they want to join it in some of your programs? I know you have a TEDx program that people can join. Currently, I believe it's a wait list. Join the Blue Talks community. I would highly recommend you all get connected with Corey for the Blue Talks if you want to be in the book series. We have gone to all bestsellers now, and there's 7 books out there now, right? I'm in 2 of them, both bestsellers, making me a 3-time bestselling author through Blue Talks. And let us know, Corey, before you got a jet and we go commercial.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the easiest way is I like to give a gift out when I can. And this gift, it's not related to our topic today, but I think it's very valuable for people. Beautiful. It's related to my book, The Book of Why and How. And the gift is people are always asking me how to find their purpose and their calling and their passion. People are always asking me what are the top traits of the world's top achievers. So we put together an exercise, 1-page exercise, so you can fill it out and get a win. And it takes you through figuring out what your purpose is and who you're associating yourself with. And so you can make adjustments accordingly. That is available at thepassioncure.com/Corey, Corey. So thepassioncure.com/Corey. And what I will tell you, Roz, is if people go there, we have it set up almost like a funnel. So if they go there, they grab that for free. It kind of it directs them to another page. If they say no thanks there, the 3rd page is Blue Talks. So they can read all about Blue Talks there as well.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And we'll have those in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Corey. I really appreciate you. I love all your wisdom as always. And I know my tribe here is going to just soak it all in. Go grab that book of Why My Loves.
Thank you, my friend. You're the best. Thanks, everybody. And I can't wait to watch later what Roz shares about speaking with you after the break. So thank you, my friend.
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
Are you feeling maxed out working one-on-one with clients and you're deeply desiring to scale your business for more time freedom without sacrificing your income, but rather expanding it? Many of my clients who are light workers, healers, practitioners, and even coaches, they're often multi-modality, are coming to me because they are sick and tired of working with clients on a one-off session model where the clients are coming in on an as-need basis. Or if they're selling packages, they are selling them in the sense of buy 5, get 1 free, or the greater the number of sessions, the greater the discount. The problem with this is it's still a dollar for hours business model. And so that leaves the practitioner feeling really exhausted and overwhelmed from having to put so much time, effort, and energy in finding new clients that they're not operating in their most elevated self with their current clients. And so if this is you, I would love to share with you that it's time to elevate your business and scale it to sell high ticket one-on-one programs or even group programs. This will allow you to have more deeper impacts because you're raising your clients' results, you're scaling your business, and you're having that time freedom you deeply are yearning for. If this is resonating with you, love, I'd love to invite you to come on a soul business alignment call with me so that you can stop feeling like you're on this roller coaster ride and start to feel safe and stable and even having fun in your business and your finances. Please go to electrifymybusiness.com to apply and we'll hop on a call. I can't wait to connect.
If I could be you and you could be me for just 1 hour, if we could find a way to get inside each other's minds, walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse, walk a mile in my shoes.
Hi, my loves. Welcome back. So the rest of this episode is a solo with me. So here's the truth. Here's what happened. Tori was going to be on our show for the whole hour. And I'm sharing this because I want you to see that sometimes things come up and you need to be ready. You need to be prepared in a way that allows you to just go with it and flow with it. And yes, this can definitely take, time to get to where I am today, where I can just be like, yeah, no problem. Corey is actually right now hosting his own summit for Blue Talks, Amplify Your Message. And yours truly is the guest after. So once I'm off my own TV show here, I'm right onto his stage. So much fun. Corey had a double booking there. And of course, the summit is big. And I'm like, no problem. You do that. I got this. All good. Right? Because how many times in our life, things don't go your way. Things just do not go your way. This is why I talk about not being attached to outcomes, being open, being flexible. Now, how am I just showing up on live stream right now and just being totally okay with that? Corey dropped this morning. And it's because I know that I can absolutely continue speaking on this topic. And if the guest was speaking on a topic that I didn't know about, oh, good, it's my show. I can do what I want, right? And I want you to take this as inspiration to be like, right, you know what? I own this. I can do whatever I want. And I know my shit, right? And you do. So many of you, I know when I say you, I mean the universal you, I mean my people that reach out to me, my clients before they start working with me. You're questioning if you're good enough. You're questioning if your ideas are good enough, if anyone will even listen to them. My loves, if it's in you, it's for you. If the dream's in you, it's for you. And guess what? If you're recognizing that there's things that you want to speak into the world, yes, someone needs to hear it. Right? Oftentimes, so I'm going to kind of segue into how I grew my business. And it was by speaking. It was not by being a paid speaker like we talked about in the earlier half of this show. Mine was a pay to play speaker. Okay. So I'm going to start from scratch. Those of you who've been following me for a while, and if you're new to me, you wouldn't know this, but those of you who have been following me, you know that I was a former registered psychologist in private practice for about 11 years. And I became the first psychologist in my province to create an online program back in 2015. And at the time, I specialized in food and body image. I was known as a go-to psychologist for this. And these are doorways into deeper aspects of ourselves. Self-love. Everything is, right, my loves? If you think about it, as you're growing your business, you are on this huge personal and spiritual journey. Your shit is going to be coming up, whether it's putting yourself out there, asking for the sale, receiving money. At some point, there's going to be some beliefs that come up that are related with the inner critic, maybe imposter syndrome, perfectionism, not feeling worthy enough. And guess what? I go through that too. Okay, trust me, I do. And I don't make it a secret either, okay? So what I don't allow to happen is for the inner critic to drive the bus. So many people allow it to hold them back in moving into their soul's mission. And my loves, this is why I will always share that I do the work. I hire coaches, I have healers, I have my team to support me in my mindset, in my beliefs, in my energy field. And of course, my business coach to support me in creating more strategies and systems to help me scale my business. We are not meant to do things alone. And so how I started my my coaching business was literally because I was still a therapist practicing when I started my coaching business. Okay. And I actually did not have conscious intention to resign as a psychologist, but as my self-love coaching business, that's what I started out as, began to grow. And I recognized, it's not a regulated profession and I could bring in all my gifts. I was, at that point in time, had been certified in energy modalities, in Reiki, and different ways in how to support my clients. And it felt so much freeing. I felt like I could be all of me outside. Like, I don't like being in boxes, right? And so for me, being a therapist felt too restrictive. Okay, I'm not saying that's for everybody, but for my soul mission, for where I'm being called, I felt like I need to play bigger, and I felt very held back by my license. And so that I work with psychologists who don't, as clients who don't want to leave their profession. That's fantastic, right? So I want to really make it clear. It's what's your soul mission? How do you want to live it out? What's fitting? What's like, what fits for you? What aligns for you? Okay. And sometimes we have to do that scary ass thing. For me, it was retiring as a psychologist, because it gave me, even though I was in private practice, I am in my own business, but there was a safety. I could hide behind the benefits. And yes, I hid behind the benefits. I didn't realize that until I became a coach, and I was like, oh shit, I actually have to sell, and people have to invest money and have no coverage for this. Like, I had to work through all my money shit, all my self-worth shit. Okay. So let me tell you, it is, like I said, a personal development journey. Now, I'm going to go back to almost 8 years ago. I was on mat leave with my second son. So he's going to be 8 very soon. And what do you do when you're like at home nursing your child and you watch trash TV and master classes? At least that's what I did, right? So here I am nursing my son, and I'm watching this masterclass on like webinar, masterclass, same thing, on how to get your message out there more, how to speak and sell. And at this point in time, I had run quite a few number of, my kids are 2 years apart. So I birthed my eating psychology specialization with my first son. Yes, I know. I don't just give birth to a human. I like to give birth to a new part of my business too when I'm on mat leave. And so at this point in time, I had 2 years of experience as the go-to psychologist. And from this, my apologies, I'm getting my kids mixed up. It was actually with my firstborn. That's when I did the masterclass and all the webinars in it. I joined this group coaching program on how to speak to sell. So what that looks like, what that means is, and this is very common in the online space, right? You offer a free webinar, masterclass. I'll use masterclass because it's a sexier name. That's really all it is. It's the same thing. And so this is how you build your tribe connects in with you. Now you get to deepen that like, know, and trust factor, right? Because you are delivering a talk that showcases your expertise and speaking to your ideal clients about, I get you, I get your pain. Here's the common struggles my clients struggle with. And here's the desired transformation. So I'm going to show you the overall roadmap on how to get from pain and challenges to where you want to be. We're going to help you close that gap, right? So you're sharing that in your masterclass. Now, I'm being very, very generalized, okay? This is the overall vibe. And then on the masterclass, you have a call to action. And in that call to action, depending on the price point, right? If you're just starting out, you may want to get people into a discovery call. If it's a high ticket, get into a discovery call. If you, I've done both, and I do both. I continue to do both. Sometimes you may want to direct sell and close people right on that masterclass, right? And so it really depends on your niche. It really depends on how you want to have that client journey with your people once they come into the masterclass. And let me tell you, there is no right or wrong. You get to do it in the way that feels fun, feels amazing for you, feels really invigorating for you. Because guess what? If you're doing something that is going against your values, that is going against how you rather do it, okay? Because it just doesn't feel good to you, it doesn't feel authentic to who you are, I always say, don't do it, tweak it. I'm the kind of coach that will say, all right, here's what I'm going to give you. Okay, take what resonates, let's tweak what doesn't. You tell me what you tell me what doesn't, and we'll tweak it so it aligns more with who you are, because that's really important. That's really important. And so an example of that might be, some of my clients really hate making PowerPoints. And I'm like, then don't do it, right? But people do love to be visual. So could we have like a flip chart and have you just, write things in as you're talking? How amazing, casual, and fun would that be, right? For some people. And other people like to have a PowerPoint. And that's great, right? It's going to be who you are, based on who you are and your energy and how you want to deliver it. That feels easy, all right? Don't try to learn something. I mean, you can learn something new and you can try it, right? And then you can decide, do I like this? Do I not? Okay. But if there's some resistance, sometimes the other thing is, if there's some resistance, we have to look at what is that resistance about. Is it related more to fear? And yet the high self is like, yeah, no, that I feel aligned with that, but I'm like freaking out. Like the resistance more about fear and discomfort of stretching yourself. Okay. Then that just means we just need to take the courage to stretch ourselves and take that action anyway. Now, if the resistance is related to you're learning a strategy and it's related to more so, this really just doesn't align with who I am at the core. Amazing. then don't do that. So for example, some people don't like to direct sell right on a masterclass. That is totally a-okay. Then don't do that. If you rather get people onto a call and build that connection, face to face, voice to voice, if it's a phone, right? Then do that. If it feels more fun to meet your people that way, amazing. I've done it where I've just put people into a group call and just be like, hey, if there's Q&As, come on in this one. This is the next stage. The biggest thing is you are inviting people into your world a little bit more each time in alignment with really positioning yourself to say, hey, come join me in this. Like, let's see if we're fit to play together, to work together. And if it is, awesome, right? Again, do not be attached. That is so important that you are not attached to the outcome. Okay, this is really, when we get so attached to closing a person, also we, first of all, forget the humanness and the relationship. And we get really into this, we're chasing the money then. No, because if you close the wrong client, my loves, it is not worth that money. Okay, let me just tell you. Okay, I'm speaking from experience. Okay, so we want to really have clients come in that are like, oh my God, I'm so excited to work with you. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited to work with you. Oh, this is why I call them soulmate clients. All right, my loves. So coming back to your talk, it is very, very important. You must know your own purpose. You must not only know it in your head, it must be embodied very deeply, because then you also will, from that place, understand your purpose, right? Your pain that turned into your purpose. Now, most of my clients, I say your former version of yourself are going to be your soulmate clients. Okay, people who see themselves in where you were, and you are a mirror of hope, of inspiration, of like them seeing, oh my gosh, you get me because you struggled with what I'm struggling right now. And now, like, you give me hope because you have created success for yourself. You're in a really different frequency and energy. Like that's my future version of me, right? And that's how I shop for my coaches. Okay, I see myself in them, and I see what I resonate so much with, how they're delivering it, what they're offering. I'm like, this sounds so juicy and yummy. Yeah, I'm in, right? So, but it takes me also time to build that like, know, and trust factor with my coaches. Now, coming back to the talk, right? When you are speaking, pay to play, that means I am investing to be on stages. Yes. Or, yes, I also am a no-fee speaker. But the difference usually is on these stages where you are paying to play, the event itself is set up so that you can directly sell yourself. Okay, so let that soak in. You can, just like I talked about in the masterclass, you can directly say, here's the program for those of you who want to step in and lean in closer, dive in deeper to work with me. I'm offering program XYZ, and this is for you if, right? And you're sharing the transformational results. You're sharing the pain to the transformational results. And so from that place, you are directly selling. You're sharing the pricing. You're sharing the payment plans if you have a payment plan, which I highly recommend. You're going to get more yeses with payment plans. Okay. And there you go. You walk away with paid clients. So in my first year of business, when you can't directly sell, okay, just like Corey, he shared evaluation form, or what I do is just like Corey did, let people know your freebie. Okay. When because this was pre-COVID, I've been in my business for almost 5 years now. Most of it was me speaking at networking events, and I would also have a booth as a vendor. And at my booth, I would have a ballot box where people can fill out. So listen to this because it's a very hot tip. Okay. Fill out a quiz where they would tell me what they would check off what their struggles are. And of course, the struggles and challenges would be what I help my ideal clients with, right? So it would be all the different mindset things. It would be all the different whatever areas, and then they would put their name and their email address. And there was also a checkbox with, yes, please follow up with me for a discovery call. Yes, please, I want your whatever freebie it is. And the freebie is so hot, it gives people that sense of like, I need to have this, as it's going to really support me, right? And so, I mean, they can unsubscribe if they're not your people. So after a while. So, that goes into the ballot box. And guess what? Now I have all these new leads. I have closed $36K in sales in one free 20-minute talk. Okay, I have closed, because I was really clear about I call it self-promotion statement, i.e. elevator pitch, but I hate that term. Literally, I stood up in a networking event, shared my elevator pitch. I closed a 10K client the next day. All right, this can happen. Now that 10K client had been following me, and I didn't know because she was a lurker, right, for a while. So she had already built that like, know, and trust factor with me, and we happened by divine guidance to be sitting right beside each other. And so these are the amazing things of what happens when you really like know your why, your niche, okay, and you keep speaking to them on content marketing. It's really important. You keep building your tribe that way. You go out, you speak, you're very clear about your talk, you're very clear, you're not talking to everybody, you're talking to your specific people that you want to work with. And those people all of a sudden get magnetized to you. And when they get on a call with you, you are there jamming it out to see if you're aligned to work together. Okay, so it's very powerful. Same signature talk. I don't change my talk. In the beginning, I never changed my talk. I went around, and this is me as a psychologist and then me as a self-love coach as well, right? I changed it obviously because I was switching my niches, but same signature talk. You go around to different audiences, and you heard from Corey how to do so as well, right? You get in front of new people, same talk, and bada boom, bada bang. So speaking is powerful because it's one to many, one and then many in front of you, right? And so I really encourage you, even right now, as I'm sharing this on my TV show, podcast, so it's going to continue being on my podcast as well. This gets out there in masses, and it can be very supportive to call in people. Okay, so speaking, if you're not showing up yet, and speaking, I highly encourage you, connect with me. You can DM me, and I can share a little bit more about how I can support you to really launch your business to that next level, whether you're just starting out or maybe you're 2 or 5 years in. Let's look at scaling your business. And it really does start with the mindset. I bring in the Akasha, right? Accessing the records of your soul. I help you bring in the systems and strategies based on where you're at, so that you are literally creating more ease and flow, impact, and income in your business. It's really important. And of course, this is all based around your lifestyle and how you want your life to be. Okay, it's be, do, and have. Now, my loves, we have a couple more minutes. I'm going to just start to invite you to just bringing this all home and anchoring in. There's been a lot of juicy tidbits today that seriously, usually only my inner circle knows. So I'm going to invite you to just feel into what feels most like the juiciest point that you felt today, whether it was something Corey said or I said, but just notice that. Or maybe it's just a feeling. You feel inspired. You feel inspired to move and to get your message out there. So let yourself breathe in that feel good feeling, whatever it is, that elevated feeling. I'm feeling like a lot of you are elevated listening to this, breathing in. And then just breathing out anything that doesn't serve or support. And I want you to breathe in, I am worthy. I am worthy to speak my truth. Breathing that in. You are worthy to speak your truth. Morakia, sirakurati, nerakurakia, sirakurati, nerakurakia, sarakurati, nerakia, sarakurati, nerakuratia. Amplifying, amplifying, amplifying for your highest truth and good. Your soul's purpose. Morakia, sirakurati, morakuratia, releasing any throat chakra blocks. Morakia, sirakurati, nerakurakia, sarakurati, morakuratia. Breathing in again. And then suspending your breath, conjuring in your energy. Bring that beautiful, powerful energy into your throat chakra. And then as you breathe out, breathing out your truth into the world, breathing your essence into the world, ready to create even more impacts into the world. Marakia, seraporati, marakia. Breathing in again. And then anchoring into the ground. Beautiful. Letting yourself notice the sensations. There's no right or wrong, my loves. Breathing in what feels most aligned for you. I love it. Beautiful. I can feel your energy. So if you're wanting to get on a call with me, apply to work with me, find out which of my programs are best supported for you, please DM me at Bold Sexy Warrior on Instagram or Facebook, Rosalyn Fung Coaching, Bold Sexy Warrior. It's also going to be on the show notes here. And DM me Soul Ascension, and we'll get on a call to see how I can best support you. Thank you so much, my loves, for tuning in today. And I hope that really we receive all this knowledge and implement it into the world. You are worthy.